Milwaukee. When the average person thinks of our fair city, the images that come to mind are beer, brats, and baseball. But what about music? Milwaukee is home to Summerfest, which is the world's largest music festival. But how does it compare to larger, more music-centric cities like Nashville, LA, New York, or even Chicago as a music mecca? I went around the city to ask local musicians and venues their views and find out just how much Brewtown rocks. My first destination took me to one of the longest independently run music venues in the city, Shank Hall, located near the lake on Milwaukee's east side. I talked to owner Peter Jess to see what he thinks of the local music scene. So tell us a little bit about Shank Hall.
It's a music club I founded in 1989. It's a 300 capacity live music club. A wide variety of national, international, and local bands. We're a 21 and over nightclub. We're just open for when we have music. We're not a bar, so we're only open maybe 11 to 14 nights a month, and we open an hour before the door, before the show, and close about an hour after the band's done. So, just really a music venue that caters to rock, classic, folk, alternative, country a little bit.
With tougher times in the economy, do you think as many people are going out to see live music as they used to?
Makes it harder on gas prices, but you get the good and bad. People might stay closer to home and want to come to a nightclub and see a band for $10 to $20 rather than travel 40 miles and see someone at a hockey arena for $80 to $100. So, it's good and bad.
How have you managed to stay vital as a venue for so long when others have failed?
That's what distinguishes us from everyone else. Not to take away from any other places that do music, but we're not a back room of a bar, upstairs of a bar. This is the only venue, the whole venue is just about music. We have no pool tables, we have no video games, we don't have karaoke nights, we don't have TVs for basketball or football. It's just about music. The philosophy of being just about music, we can't screw that up. That's the only thing we do, so we really work hard. It really is the best place to see and hear a band. People are comfortable of all ages, 21 and over, and of all backgrounds to be here. It's not like a rock club or, it's not a high-end jazz club. It's just a nice club that everyone can feel comfortable in, so we can do a wide variety of stuff.
When a band comes to you looking for a show here, what is your usual arrangement with them?
Usually I like to ask them, how many people do you draw? Being 300 capacity, if the band draws 30 people, they should play somewhere else. If they can draw 100 people with someone else, we'll give them a try. I'll give everyone a try, but they have to know really what they're worth, and they'll get the door after $300, which covers sound and sales tax, and they'll get the rest. So that really, it's the only way really to do it with local bands, because they have to promote themselves to make money. And we try to encourage them really to only make it their special show of the month. If bands play every weekend, and if they have 300 fans and you play every weekend, maybe 150 go to one, 150 to the other, rather than, okay, all 300 go to the show this month, and it's better for everybody.
What is your procedure for promoting your venue?
Well, pretty much now with the internet, every band has their website and their Facebook site. We advertise in the Weekly Shepherd Express, stories in the Milwaukee Journal and the Onion and the Shepherd every week as far as print stuff, and then, through calendars, online, and Facebook invites, the word gets out. If you're a fan of a band, you either Facebook their venue, website or our website, or you're a Facebook friend of the band. So it's pretty hard not to know what your favorite band's coming to town these days.
How do you think Milwaukee's music scene compares to other larger, more musical cities like Austin, Nashville, or LA?
Well, obviously very smaller than that. They have a great music scene in Austin, the big cities. Milwaukee is very unusual that we only draw a radius from 3/4 of the city. We have a lake over here. So if you're in Austin and you're drawing people from a 35-mile radius, that's more people that come into the town. Here we have no one that comes from the east. So you're sort of limited how many people can come to downtown or Milwaukee because of the lake. And then being a smaller city too.
What do you think bands should do to have better relations with a venue?
Just be honest in the draw. I mean, don't say, hey, we're going to play your place. We have 250 fans and we're going to pack it, and then, they show up and there's tumbleweeds going across the floor and, crickets chirping while they're playing. I mean, they sort of got, don't lie to a venue owner. I mean, everyone wants you to be honest. There's clubs that 50 people will do really well for them. There's clubs that 30 people do well for. There's clubs that 100 people. Just be honest. There are venues that can fit every band's need.
Next, I got in touch with regional cover band Three Finger Joe.
I heard you cry loud all the way across town. You've been searching for that someone, and it's me out of the crowd. As you sit around feeling sorry for yourself.
Three Finger Joe put on an energetic set of new and old favorites, but one of the things I noticed about the show was the venue, and I was troubled that the band was basically made to set up in the corner, and there were bartenders and patrons walking through their stage, quote unquote. Also upsetting to me was the large screen showing sports behind the band. This killed any sort of rock and roll atmosphere and production value. It shows a lack of understanding and appreciation for live music by the venue, and I'm afraid it's an all too common trend. Another local venue I talked to was the Up and Under, a long-standing rock venue in the heart of Brady Street. Owner Tim Broderson was excited to speak with me about the scene, and also because he had just purchased a new venue in Bayview, the old brew house, which he now named the Down and Over.
It started, Up and Under is actually a rugby term, and it was a rugby bar back from the 70s on, and the guy who kind of ran it for a while and managed for them decided to buy it. His name was Mike Costel, and he started getting the bands in here, and he's a big blues lover. He did blues, and that's how I came to find out about the place, because I'm a musician. Saw bands in here. Every time I visit my brother, who lived right around the corner, I'd end up here, and then he found out it was for sale, and he's like, your dream, you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, and so we got in here as quickly as we could. So.
Tim told me how he thinks Milwaukee compares to other cities' music scenes.
I did run bars in Chicago, and I actually lived in Indianapolis before 2000 to 2006 in Chicago, always in bars, always in bands, and so I've seen music scenes in 3 cities pretty solidly.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, I gotta say, of the 3, Milwaukee's probably been the most friendly. But what's cool is, even in Indianapolis, which was, I'd compared it size-wise, and there's a lot of bands down there, it was competitive and people were kind of, you got attitude. And you gotta remember, music's subjective. There's no better band than another band, it's choice. And in Chicago, there's just so many bands, and stuff gets bounced around so fast that nobody really makes friends because it's too big. And here, all the bands make friends with each other. A lot of people play in multiple bands, and it's a real community of musicians, and that's way better than anywhere else I've ever seen.
I asked Tim how he has managed to stay vital despite tough economic times.
Our sales last year went down less than 2%, and it was down 1.3% from the year before. So overall, even in the thickest part of this recession, we've barely lost much, and that just is a testament to people might not spend $2,000 on a vacation, but they're willing to go out and spend $20, $30 on a mini vacation, so to speak. It's simply adapting. It was purely blues before, and when I tried to kind of grab that vibe when I took over, I realized that it wasn't the drinking crowd that I needed. And being a musician that, I love the blues, but, I started realizing I love all music. Let's try a bunch of different things. So changing up to anything as long as it's good and it brings people in. But the second part of it, and I think the most important part, is places hire out. Oh, okay, why don't you bring bands in here, and they don't really bring it home to them. Whereas I care about the music, I care about the people. I'm in contact with every single band. I'm here when they play. And you have to know them and then know your clientele. And when you distance yourself from it, I think other places just kind of lose that personal feel, and it just falls apart. Usually, just we take a small amount out of the original door, and we give them the rest, and that amount covers. We give them some free drinks, obviously. We have a door guy, sound guy, all that kind of stuff, and we kind of cover part of our expenses by taking a little bit of money out, but really they get the door, and most bands are doing pretty well here. We have 150 capacity, so multiply that by usually a $5 cover charge. It's not a bad night.
Not bad.
I do I do a lot of stuff. Well, first of all, flyers are it sounds silly, but they're great. And we have, you know, if you could wallpaper this place with your flyer if your band's playing here, I tell everybody bring as many as you want. The other part of it is it's on our website in the calendar. There's a lot of times you can link up to where the band, their band's home website. And other than that, I get it to the what's happening section of the Shepherd, on Milwaukee, the Onion, and whatnot. As far as ads go, occasionally we got on the radio, occasionally we're getting the Onion, occasionally we're getting the Shepherd, you know, that kind of stuff. And MSC has been really good to us lately.
Tim had some advice for bands to work with venues.
Honestly, I've been in a band, in bands plenty of times, but you got to know how to talk to the venue owner or representative, and know what they want. Rather than just saying, we just recorded this is what we sound like, blah, blah, blah. I know you want to represent yourself because you're proud of yourself, but you want to ask them what they want and find a way to have what they want and what you want meet up.
While rock and roll was the driving music I wanted to explore, Milwaukee has a lively underground jazz scene as well. I visited my old guitar teacher, Steve Peplin, at the Jazz Estate to see his Steve Peplin Trio perform. Steve Peplin is a well-known force in Milwaukee's jazz scene. After the show, I was able to sit down with Steve and ask his views on Milwaukee's music scene.
Initially, I went to MATC, got the associate degree there, and went to Berkeley, got my bachelor's degree out there, and came back and started teaching at MATC. Well, I heard from a few sources, a few old jazz guys like Mantee Ellis and Don Linky, who's not that old. I'll just put that out there for Don. And others that if you can cut it as a jazz player in Milwaukee, you can hang anywhere. And it's really interesting. I didn't believe that initially, but now if you look at some of the jazz players that have come out of Milwaukee, you've got Dan Nimmer, who's the house pianist with the Lincoln Center, Wynton Marsalis's orchestra. You got Rick Germanson, who was playing with Pat Martino. A lot of people from Milwaukee have gone out to make it. So it's like a conservatory here for jazz and for other styles too, not just jazz. I don't like to call myself a jazz musician. It's too limiting.
That's true.
I've had 2 or 3 steady gigs a week for a very long time. I can't think of any rock band that's got 2 or 3 steady gigs a week. So there's this campaign by the media, Jazz is Dead. A lot of notable figures in print and radio and television have used that corporate catchphrase, jazz is dead, but I don't know, man. It's keeping me alive. But I'm in an organization now called Milwaukee Jazz, formerly Milwaukee Jazz Vision. Actually, no, it still is Milwaukee Jazz Vision. We've organized a series of jam sessions around town. You can go to Milwaukee Jazz Vision on Facebook and check out what's going on there. There are a growing number of really great young musicians, not just jazz musicians. Again, that word is highly suspect, but as far as the rock scene is concerned, I mean, that was my initial exposure to music, and I think it's the same as any other town. You show up and basically on some level pay to play. Maybe you might make $11 and get all your friends there, and it's equally valid. I mean, it's more valid in a lot of ways than jazz because you're playing original music, hopefully. Cover bands, yeah, let's not even talk about that.
Steve talked with me about being in an original band versus covers.
With rock bands, do I think originals are received better? No. People still like to drink beer and freak out when they recognize anything that's remotely familiar. You know how it is, man. people still call Freebird, but a message to the public, it's over. Don't yell Freebird, ever. Slayer, more acceptable, but Freebird, no. Done, not funny.
We'll make a note of that now.
Freebird is over, yeah.
From this point forward.
Yeah. Stamp, titanium stamp on that, no Freebird. I think really there's a growing trend of people coming out and checking out live music. I think people are getting tired of auto-tune. I think they're getting tired of people singing and rapping about ridiculously banal material. I think people are starting to get tired of preservatives in their food. Hopefully, people are starting to, wake up a little bit.
Steve had some advice for local musicians in Milwaukee.
People always talk about playing music, but I hate that word. I think you should change it to the word work. How long have you been playing guitar? How long have you been playing bass? Playing, yeah, there's a lot of playing going on, but not a lot of work. People don't really work on music like they used to in the old days. Like, if you look at the average musician from 1930 in the United States, that musician would be a badass. They would be able to do almost anything you ask them to do. Nowadays, people might be a DJ and say they're a musician. Nobody can read, nobody knows their scales, nobody knows their instrument, they don't know how to fix their equipment if it breaks. I think to be a musician now, I think people should get a little more serious because it gives back what you put into it.
One person I most wanted to speak to was my former bandmate Steve Kenziora and his band In Our Wake. Steve has been a member of many local bands since I've known him, from tribute acts to cover bands to all original local bands. Steve has the most musical connections in Milwaukee that I know. I was eager to pick his brain about the local scene. Where are we and what is this place?
This is Troublemaker Studio. We're in West Milwaukee, and it's a rehearsal space that is going to be morphing into a music cooperative, kind of on the basis of getting musicians to network within each other.
I asked Steve to compare cover bands versus all original groups in the region.
Something that I've noticed for Milwaukee versus like Chicago or Twin Cities is that we're a lot more, I don't want to say limited, but channeled. There's there's not a huge vein of original music. It's really kind of cover band territory, and people that are running original music that are doing it well have their own angle. They have something special to bring. So, and it's versatile. I think the next big bands that come out of Milwaukee, if you really look at it, and you mark my words, it's either going to be a metal band or a heavy band, or it's going to be another classical guitar player. And that's the kind of vein that we're going through. It's broad, but each genre is very specialized. There's a lot going on with cover bands, but the original music is really, you've got classical guitar and you've got jazz, but it's not very widespread.
Steve talked with me about dealing with venues in Milwaukee compared with other cities in the region.
Like downtown Milwaukee, I notice a lot. They pack in wherever they can get you, but you put that next to when I go to Minneapolis, they're a little bit more, I don't want to say old school, but they're a little bit more into working with you. Okay, you drove from Milwaukee, we'll give you food, we'll give you beer. I've had venues offer to shack you up for the night. So it's a little bit more of, you have to be your own salesman in Milwaukee because people aren't going to throw you a bone. You really have to be aggressive. It's what you want to get out of it. If you have the time and the energy and the wherewithal to push an original band, you're going to do well, but you have to really dedicate. I mean, people always forget that. I think it was Greg Allman that said, being a musician it's a 9-to-5 job. It's just on the other side of the day. We don't get up at 7, 8 in the morning, but you get to a venue at, say, 3 in the afternoon, you're there for 12 hours, and you really have to be vigilant and handle a lot of your booking, and if you're original, you have to have an angle. You have to be able to offer something that no one else offers. So, the difference with the cover band is a lot of the legwork is done. You know, hey, you're in a cover band. What kind of cover band is it? Well, we do Led Zeppelin, and you know, we do classic rock, or we do modern rock, or you know, something like that. People get an idea, and oh, okay, I like that genre of music. That's great.
Steve has helped to organize a new local Battle of the Bands. He had some exciting information about it.
The Battle of the Bands is it's headed up mostly by MMI. I was brought in to kind of help take care of some of the details, you know, venue and organizing some prizes for the bands, and myself and Mike Sundquist are organizing lineups and stuff like that. You know, it's been interesting to get into that side because that's a lot more promotional. It's kind of new for me to figure out. Not only, you know, here we're setting up this Battle of the Bands, we're bringing all these musicians in. Well, what can that do for you, you know, as a venue or you know, as someone who's donating, you know, a prize package or something? What is that going to do for you? It's really trying to push, you know, name recognition. It's a kind of marketing that you can't pay for. You know, it's not like I could walk into some place and say, hey, listen, I run a studio. I want to do this for you. You know, people don't look at it that way. So it's been really interesting trying to figure out how to present things to people. But everyone's really been, they've really been great. You know, to have someone come and say, you know, here, I'm throwing this thing, what can you give me for free? You know, people have been really responsive with it, embracing the fact that, you know, oh, I'm going to put your name on a poster. That's not a big deal when you look at that, but when I tell someone, yeah, we're going to hand out 500 posters or 1,000 posters, all of a sudden, you know, you've got the opportunity to get your name plastered everywhere. So it's a lot of stuff like that. You know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
And this is taking place in Milwaukee?
It's taking place in the Milwaukee area. It's actually in Waukesha, which is about 15 minutes west of Milwaukee.
Okay, and what are some of the prizes that people can win if they win the Battle of the Bands?
We've got a photography package. We've got some silk screening for T-shirts. There's a bar in West Allis that's donating a quarter barrel party. And then the grand prizes are a slot to open up for fuel and Puddle of Mud at Eagle River Mud Fest on, I think it's May 18th. And the other really cool side that I really dig about the grand prize is Madison Media instructors are going to produce an EP for whoever wins, and I think they estimated that cost at like $25,000. But beyond, you know, getting all the free stuff, woohoo, the people that win that EP, they get to put names on their EP that are just huge. I mean, there are people that have dealt with Nine Inch Nails and Slipknot and Mick Jagger and, you know, all these huge national touring acts that have tons of name recognition attached to them.
All right, awesome. And finally, just tell us a little bit about Bethel and your involvement with that.
Well, we're now known as In Our Wake,
Oh, okay.
and it's you're gonna have to be sorry. It's an original hard rock project that was started primarily with myself and Mike Sundquist as a studio project, and then we brought Dave Daniels in on drums, and it's been a lot of fun because what we started has just expanded. Now we're going all sorts of little different directions and trying now to concentrate on bringing in the right vocalist that's going to be able to add to what we have. You know, we don't look at each other and, you know, no one gives orders. It's really an approach of what can you bring to the music and how can you make this something special that people are going to respond to.
Of course, there are many other bands and venues throughout Milwaukee doing their part to keep the music scene alive. The key, I think, is a genuine love of live music that will make sure that Brewtown will always rock.